Well, hello and welcome back to another chat with me, Matt Webb from Mentor Group. I hope you're doing very well today. So today we've got two people on the chat with Matt. So we've got a panel, and we've got Chris Norton, co-owner of Mentor Group, and we've got James Barton, the CTO of Mentor Group. So two experts in the field of sales transformation. Now, what we want to talk to you about today is the trends that we've seen and some of the benefits that we've seen from this transition to virtual learning, as we've all experienced over the last few weeks and months because of primarily COVID, but also the transition that's been happening in the learning space anyway. So as I always start off by saying, James, Chris, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Matt. Good to be on, and looking forward to the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. James?
I'm very well, Matt. Thank you very much. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed. So let's get straight into this, guys. We're going to talk about two things. First of all, Chris, I'm going to come to you. We're going to talk about the benefits of virtual learning, and then James will come to you after that, and we'll talk about some of the unexpected benefits of virtual learning. So Chris, you first. We've done, we must have done hundreds of hours of virtual learning over the last 6 months with a number of clients globally. What do you see as the top 2 or 3 benefits of virtual learning?
Okay, I think there would have been, I would say, 3 that spring to mind. There's the obvious one, but may not have been obvious when we went into this, of the saving on operational costs. People are not traveling, on aeroplanes, hotels overnight. And actually, we're finding that we can get the same amount of impact for massively reduced costs because of those hidden costs that sometimes don't get measured, of hotels, airplanes that none of us are on. So there's that saving and massive benefit. I think the second one is what I would call efficiency, is that because people we're doing these obviously virtually by necessity, the interruption to the day of fitting in virtual instructor-led training is a lot less impact operationally on clients. One is you've got to redesign your materials into much shorter learning modules so that people remotely can take those on board, apply them and be sustainable. So you can't do a whole day of virtual training. It just has no impact, and people just the impact in them of retaining that doesn't work. So that operational saving of people still being able to work as normal, if you like, and then do their learning and development in between or before or after, has been a massive, I think, operational saving and upside on productivity. And then I think the third one is the sort of unexpected. We could all say, we knew that we would have to design modules for this subject, that subject. I'm not sure we did. So let me give you an example. We're seeing a really big uptake in what we call mental fitness type programs, so linked to well-being, looking after people's mental fitness. We spend a lot of time looking at people's cognitive, adding to their knowledge. People are very mindful of their physical fitness, and getting out but who thinks about their mental fitness? So what we found is, the propensity to clients to be much more open to looking at things like perseverance, mental agility, all of the things that are absolutely key, particularly in the world where we operate in sales. So that I would call new content, has been probably my third really big discovery and upside during this period.
And Chris, let me just push you a little bit more on that. Are you seeing the focus around well-being and mental fitness has been heightened because of what's going on with lockdowns around the world and the impact of COVID?
Absolutely. I think it's a subject that comes up in different stakeholders and clients in human resources, from looking at the overall well-being of employees. And then you go into more operational pieces, the chief executive, the chief revenue officers in our world, seeing and being mindful of the impact of continuous virtual working. So I think everybody would have had it on their agenda. I think that the virtual has heightened it, particularly where you can relate it to loss of performance, absenteeism, and general well-being of people, which I think we can. So we have to look at both the, adding to people's learning path through cognitive and knowledge type learning, but I think that this is on the agenda fully now about people's mental fitness.
So give me your top tip then, Chris, because I know that you're deeply passionate around mental fitness. Give me your top tip of one thing that you do to look after your own mental fitness.
Yeah, my piece is around clarity of mind. So whether you're using some sort of mindfulness techniques or conscious meditation, whatever it might be, actually a clear mind, as humans, can enable our performance. So I do a lot of that. I center, and do some sort of mental fitness exercises before I go on a call, before I, maybe I'm writing a piece that's really important. So I embed it into my day rather than it's something I have to remember to do. Yeah.
So almost like clearing space in your mind, isn't it, before you go into an important task? I think that's a top tip all in its own. Yeah.
So that's what I found. So I would never say COVID's been good for us. If we look at the massive downside impacts it got, but there have been some unexpected upsides, and I think this is one. This focus on mental fitness.
Thanks, Chris. So let's keep with that theme of unexpected. Now, James, as we've been working with a number of clients again globally with virtual, let's talk a bit about some of the unexpected benefits of the change in the way people are learning now.
Yeah, so I think, Matt, one of the things that we discover going through the VILTs is the benefit of re-looking at the content that you've got and designing it from scratch for a digital delivery, as opposed to trying to rinse and repeat just what you would do physically. And that changes the game because it allows us to do some things which are much more interactive, much more innovative than we were doing before. Now, that aside, I think there's one key issue, one key hidden benefit that I'm not sure I'm hearing many people talk about, and that's about inclusivity. So if you think about what we've been doing previously, is we ask people to go to a 1-day, 2-day boot camp, for example. And for some people, that is going to be tremendously difficult to do. Think of maybe single parents with children. They've got to find childcare. Think about people with either physical or hidden disabilities, people that get anxiety in large groups or for traveling, etc., etc. For those individuals, their training is inaccessible or very difficult for them to do. Now you go back to what Chris was saying about well-being. If that bottom layer of well-being is disrupted because you're thinking about other things, if you attend one of these courses, you're not going to be there with a clear mind, not with clarity, because you're worried about something you might not even be able to attend in the first place. So what we've learned is that the VILT delivery creates more inclusivity for the people. Now, so what? One, it's great for that to happen, but for an organization, of course, think about the fact that you've now got access to better talent. The talent that you have got has got accessibility to the right training. It really does improve the company's talent acquisition and retention strategies. And as we know, that is a key differentiator. So I think for me, the key hidden benefit of VILTs is the fact that we can be now significantly more inclusive in how and where we deliver the training and to whom.
So training's open to more people, which is great.
Yep.
What would you say then, James, if I played back to you some things that we've heard from clients, not so much recently, but certainly at the beginning of lockdown? Not everything works virtually. So if I want to do a program around negotiations or some of the sales skills, I need to be face to face, because you need that human to human in-person interaction. What would your response be to that?
I would say that what they've tried to do is to deliver a program in the same way they would do it face to face, rather than stepping back and building it from the ground up digital. Because if you do that, I've not experienced a course yet that we can't deliver in a VILT format.
So that links back to Chris's point from earlier.
It does. But I'd also say the other thing to think about is the talent of the facilitator. Not all facilitators who are great face-to-face are great virtually, because it's a very different environment, requires a different set of energy. That can be trained, but we mustn't make the assumption that they can all do it, because some of them won't make the cut.
Great. So let's pre-wire our next chat, because we can only cover so much in this one. Chris, I'm going to come to you. How do we evolve from here? So we've moved from predominantly instructor-led in-person. Now everything's virtual. How does this now move forward in terms of the next steps, the evolution of learning?
Yeah, I think the piece James picked up there, the digital piece, what we're finding is that to consume what I would call that knowledge piece has, I think, got to be programmed into everybody's learning paths day to day. So it's not we're going to attend a learning event in 2 months or something. It's continuous learning, but that knowledge, and I think that can be delivered massively well digitally. And within the digital piece, you can embed the feedback loops in terms of, compliance, learning, and, start to get iterative loops back into learning paths. This guy's or this lady's doing really well in this area. What learning path has she been on? Okay, what can we learn for maybe new people coming on board, etc. So I think that whole knowledge piece can be much more efficiently delivered on digital means. And then I think that the evolution then will be to in some ways still with the virtual, all the benefits we've got, but not to forget the massive benefit of some face-to-face programs, which may be more collaboratively based. And because as humans, we can learn as individuals and we can learn as groups. So I see that there will be this pathway whereby is this learning can be done really collaboratively. That would be worth the investment in the face-to-face and the outputs of that. So I see this blended approach that's much more distinct between and knowledge-based learning and collaborative and application learning.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. And James, we've already heard from Chris in terms of one thing that he does around his personal development and well-being, mental fitness. Give our listeners and readers one golden nugget that you've got around what you do to keep your personal development going.
It sounds like a really stupid thing to say, Matt, but I'm gonna say I set my alarm to go to bed, not to get up. Now, what I mean by that is, from my personal development point of view, is I schedule everything. And I find that if I'm not disciplined in my sleep patterns, my well-being gets disruptive, and then I can't proceed with my own personal development. So it sounds like a little bit of a hack, but it's setting my alarm to go to bed, not to wake up. I get up before the alarm clock anyway, but often if I'm not disciplined, I find myself straying later into the evening, which then disrupts my day, which then breaks the process.
Great. So for everybody listening and watching, we're going to develop this theme on our next chat, where we're going to talk more around digital learning and how that's evolving in the future. The one thing that we found is the virtual world is working really well. It's working really well for more people. It's opening up more opportunities for learning in bite-sized chunks, which has got to be good news for all. So we're going to continue on that theme on our next chat. For now, though, James and Chris, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
No problem. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you guys, please just take one thing away, as you always do, and we'll develop this theme further on our next chat with Matt. Thanks again for taking the time. Look after yourself and stay safe.